Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for Paddington 2. So Paddington 2 comes to us from the director of the first Paddington, which was a film that actually caught a lot of people by surprise. It came out about 3 years ago now, and no one really expected anything from it because it was called Paddington. It was a kids movie, and it just kind of looked generic from the trailers. But it came out and actually shocked a lot of people because it had a lot of heart. And Paddington 2 follows the story of the bear from the first one, a bear that came from basically the deepest, darkest steps of the jungle and came to the United Kingdom, or Britain, and decided to walk around until he could find a family, and he was able to, and by being there he helped change the family's dynamic with each other. He helped the relationships there be less toxic and more happy, and he overall helped that family. So Paddington 2 follows him with the same family, only it follows him as he wants to get a birthday present for his aunt who watched over him after his parents died. So he attempts to make money, and by doing so, he is led down a path that takes him to places that he wouldn't really expect. Paddington 2 is one of the most bizarre films for me personally that has come out in quite a while, because if you told me that this movie was coming out like 4 or 5 months ago, it would mean nothing to me. It's Paddington 2. I wouldn't care. It's about a bear, and I hadn't seen the first one at that point because I thought it looked dumb like 3 years ago. So I was just kind of like, whatever about it. I didn't really care about it. But then reviews started coming out, and they were overwhelmingly positive. A lot of people in the, Britain, where they consider it a 2017 film, were calling it one of the better films made that year, and it actually scored a BAFTA nomination for Hugh Grant, who played the main villain in the film. So I was actually very surprised by all the awards and the praise it was getting, so I actually started to get kind of excited for Paddington 2. So I went in kind of skeptical, but also kind of expecting, an enjoyable movie, and what I got was actually such a pleasant and enjoyable experience that put a smile on my face that didn't really come off until like an hour after the film's runtime. This was honestly just such a sweet and innocent movie, and I couldn't understand anybody who would dislike it. It's easy to say that the film is childish because it is made for children, and there's a lot of humor in it that sort of just prescribes more towards children and their senses of humor. But what I must say Paddington 2 does so well, and so that is so impressive, is that it puts sort of the kids' humor at the forefront of the movie because that's what, sells your tickets. But at the same time, they have some more mature humor in the background that is intended for older audiences that actually really works. I'm not talking mature as in inappropriate. I'm talking like some old-time comedy, like, stuff you would see in Charlie Chaplin films. The main point of the movie that it gets across is being enjoyable and funny for kids, but it's also able to appeal to adults and, teenagers and older people by just having different types of humor represented throughout rather than just appealing to kids, which is so pleasing to see, because too often animated films need to pick, one of two paths. It's the Hollywood idea that they're either purely meant for kids or they're meant for adults, even though kids could go and see them. And what's so great about Paddington 2 is that it merges the line so well. You've seen films that have done it before, but I'm not sure if any other film has done it as well as Paddington has. But overall, just generally, this film is so unbelievably enjoyable. I was just so happy throughout the runtime. It honestly, legitimately makes you feel like you're a kid again, which is such a great, sensational feeling that not a lot of people really get through many things other than like nostalgia. So it's great when a film is able to represent an emotion like that, and that it does it so well. I was honestly so surprised with Paddington 2. This really was one of the most pleasant and enjoyable films with some surprisingly good acting. When I saw that Hugh Grant got nominated for a BAFTA, I was just kind of surprised, but I thought, whatever, the BAFTA can like have some out there nominations. But when I saw him in the film, I really did understand it. He plays it so comically overdone, yet at the same time somewhat laid back and restricted. It's like a perfect balancing act that makes his performance just feel feels so genuine and so funny. And every other performance throughout the film is like that. There's just so much to adore with Paddington 2 that I could probably go on and on for about 20 to 30 minutes just talking about how much I genuinely loved this movie. It's so bizarre that I'm saying this about a movie that's about it's animated, but it's also in the real world. I believe it's CGI animation, and it's just kind of bizarre that it's this enjoyable and this heartfelt, because when it gets to the ending, there wasn't really a dry eye in the theater that I was at. It gets somewhat emotional, which is surprising, and I actually ended the movie feeling very soft and sensitive, and it's so weird that a movie with a talking CGI bear is able to do that. I don't understand how, but it's the magic of filmmaking, and I can say that Paddington displays that so well. Just the magic of filmmaking and the magic of just enjoying yourself. And Paddington 2 encapsulates that just so well. I will give Paddington 2 an 8 out of 10. This was easily the best way to start off 2018. This is a great film that I'm glad that it's coming out in January, because you don't really get a lot of great films heading into the February and March and April months, but I love the fact that a film this enjoyable was able to come out around this time. Well, anyway, that concludes my review for Paddington 2. What are your thoughts on this film, or what do you think of the original Paddington? Comment in the comment section below and let me know. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.